Okay, great. Again, thanks everyone for joining us. We just waited for a minute there for a few more people to log in. I think we've got most people now, so let's go ahead and get started. As I said, it's a really exciting day for us today. We have released our latest version, our latest LTS release, long-term support release of the OnApp software, and that's version 6. So just to kick off, I'd like to make some introductions. So first of all, there's me, Tim. I lead the sales, marketing, and product teams here at OnApp. And also presenting with me today, we've got Anatoly, Tatiana, and James. We've also got some of your account managers and engineers on the line as well to answer any questions you might have. So here's the agenda for today. And just before we get started, I'd like to say it's fantastic to see so many people joining us. We've got about a 50-50 split today, actually, between existing customers and those that don't use OnApp yet. So we'll just start with a very, very quick introduction to OnApp, just to set the scene for people who aren't too familiar with what we do. Then we'll dive into some more product detail and demos about the features of OnApp version 6. After that, I'd like to move up a few levels and talk about the commercial challenges you're facing as a cloud service provider in the market today and how we think we can help you solve them. Finally, we should actually have plenty of time for your questions. And just on that point, you can ask questions at any time using the questions tool in the webinar control panel. If any chance we don't get around to answering yours, we'll contact you after the session with the answers you're looking for. So let's move on to that very quick overview of OnApp and what we do. So OnApp's been around since 2010, and we work with telecommunications providers, MSPs, and other cloud service providers. We've got over 5,000 cloud deployments across 93 countries. The OnApp cloud platform is designed to make providers successful. It's about monetization and not just orchestration. One of the things we pride ourselves on is making cloud easier to use and more profitable as well. OnApp is actually a complete cloud management platform. And that's very important to state because that's how we're very different from a lot of our competitors. We cover everything from orchestration to SDN, to metering for billing, to role-based access. We provide that through a user interface and also a full REST API. Our single pane of glass cuts a lot of complexity out of cloud management as well, where we unify public, private, and hybrid clouds, all of the VMs, containers, federation of computing resources, and also provide workload fluidity through that single pane. So just like to move on to now what's new in OnApp version 6. So with OnApp version 6, your cloud is faster. We focus on improving onboarding time, speeding lead to cache, and automating day-to-day cloud management, so your cloud delivers a better customer experience. OnApp version 6 also includes Accelerator, which means OnApp clouds automatically accelerate web content, so websites run faster in OnApp clouds. We're running a separate session on this, so see onapp.com/events for more information, and we'll provide that link later on. With OnApp, your cloud is easier too, so it's easier to manage and easier to integrate, and it's easier to deploy, even without your own data centers. Plus, our new on-demand proposition gives you a complete managed cloud without any data center infrastructure required. We're running a separate session on this too. Again, see onapp.com/events for more information, and we'll be sharing information about that and the links at the end of the session. And finally, OnApp makes your cloud more profitable. By automating cloud orchestration, provisioning, and management, we're reducing the manual effort and engineer time per customer in the data center, and introducing even more flexible billing to give you more commercial flexibility in how you take your services to market. OnApp version 6 is the latest long-term support release, or LTS. The last LTS release was around 2 years ago, with an intermediate stable release roughly in the middle of that cycle. LTS and stable releases are ready for production use. In between the LTS and stable releases, we provide additional edge releases, which include new features, new functionality, and beta functionality. We test these with customers and improve the new features until they're ready to be wrapped into the next stable or LTS. So the version 6 LTS we're talking about today is the result of 2 years of development since version 5. And it includes all of the edge release functionality that we've issued, tested, and improved since 5.5, which was around about a year ago. Today, however, we're going to focus on a few of the highlights. So to kick us off, I'd like to hand over to Tatiana, our Cloud Product Manager, to talk about our new billing functionality.
Hi everyone, I'm Tatiana Tsubka, Product Manager at OnApp, and I'm going to present some new features that have been released in 6.0. In 6.0 LTS, we introduced the buckets, which provide fine-grained control of cloud resource access and pricing. If you've been using OnApp for a while, then you'll know that we have always enabled you to bill for every part of your infrastructure using billing plans. But there was still room for us to make billing even easier, because in the past you had to manage company billing and individual user billing in different places. Well, we've changed all of that. With buckets, you can manage billing for companies and users and manage access to resources on a single screen, because that makes life easier. Statistics calculation is a time-consuming process. With the buckets, we made a number of under-the-hood changes that speed up their performance. Some business models don't need pricing at all in their cloud management system. You can use the access control only and ignore the rate card and don't fill in prices at all. But let's quickly talk about some of the highlights. Next. Buckets are combined of access control, where you configure resource allocation, and rate card, where you specify the prices. The buckets are arranged by server type into the tabs. Each tab has the resources applicable to this specific server type only. These are virtual, smart, bare metal, VPC, and other for resources that doesn't have server types, such as templates. If you don't have any smart or bare metal or VMware related server in your cloud, these tabs will be hidden. The users and companies have only those resources available which are added to their bucket. One of the major changes comparing to billing plans is that when a new bucket is created, it is empty, and this means that no resources are available. To give access to a zone or to allow a user to create a specific number of VMs, you have to add those resources to the bucket access control. Access control lets you fine-tune the resource allocation. You can set the maximum amount allowed for compute, storage, networking, or backup resource, and many more. Or you can leave the field empty and make it unlimited. To reduce time spent on filling in the bucket, use the Apply to All option, which will set the identical limits on all the resources of this type within the bucket. The rate card. The rate card is the place where all the pricing is set. You can bill your users for every aspect of your cloud, such as every gigabyte of storage they use or every IP address, each core, and so on. Leave the rate card empty, and this will automatically zero the prices for all the resources. The prices for the templates are also set in the buckets now. You can select the template store and set the price for each individual template within that store. The price then will be charged for each virtual server created from that template. If you run a private cloud, or should you use a third-party software to make billing, the Disable Billing option might be handy. You can disable billing globally for the cloud and leave reporting and metering only. Any mentions of the price will be removed from all the screens. The rate card will be hidden. And what's also important, all the background tasks will run faster, meaning that that even zero billing will be dismissed. Just to recap, OnApp 6.0 makes it easy to build your individual customers and companies. OnApp is flexible to control access to every part of your infrastructure. And with buckets, you can charge your customers for any resource consumption. So now let's look at how you can export that billing data to other applications. One of the biggest challenges for service providers or MSPs is how to integrate the cloud management platform with the systems that you use to manage billing. OnApp keeps the record of all the billing stats of your customers' cloud consumption. You can get the report of all the charges for each VM the user created, split into network, storage, and virtual server, standing for compute resource consumption. This significantly reduces time required to generate invoices. What's even more useful is that you can generate a flat CSV file directly from the control panel or query an API. The output of the API and the CSV file provide more granular information than the UI. So you can configure the output as required to integrate with your third-party operations system. With OnApp reporting system, you can drill into detailed statistics on the costs for each user in the organization. You can save as CSV. The generated bill will display the resource pool, network, and storage costs per user per virtual machine. The cloud stats will help you keep track of the virtual servers that consume the most of the infrastructure. You are provided with the list of all the virtual servers in the cloud with their usage details. You can filter the stats by the date range and save as a CSV file, or use our API and configure the output as required to integrate into your preferred billing or operations system, and easily view all consumption metrics. So OnApp simplifies the process of exporting billing data to third-party solutions. This can be done via flat files, or as we've just seen, or using the OnApp API. Thank you. Let me hand over to James, who's going to talk about new features for VMware clouds.
Thanks. Yeah, so we've made lots of improvements to our integration with VMware. We have introduced new features and enhancements to our VMware integration to solve some of the common issues companies are facing. Throughout these slides, I'm going to demonstrate how we overcome these. So for those of you who are new to OnApp for VMware, the OnApp portal can be used to provide a single pane of glass for a unified view of multiple compute resources, whether you're using vCloud Director, vCenter, or OnApp compute resources. OnApp provides billing and automation capabilities, helping you to sell more. We are available through the VMware Cloud Provider Program or direct through us. So OnApp for vCenter. Previously, we have been asked by customers if we were able to integrate with vCenter directly, as the full feature set of vCloud Director is not always required. We are pleased to introduce our integration with OnApp for vCenter, providing you with a self-service portal, giving customers access to their resources located on vCenter environments without having to open access up to your management environments. We support multiple vCenter environments, multiple clusters. You can choose which resources you wish your customers to deploy VMs to using our bucket system. Your customers can then use the deployment wizard within set resources and limits. So I'll go through a quick demo now of what this looks like in the OnApp Cloud portal. So you only have to import the VMs you choose into the OnApp portal. So we go to settings, we have a look at our compute resources. You can see here we've added in a new vCenter compute resource. So I click on that, I see the details of that vCenter environment. I go to Tools, I can click Import Virtual Server, and here I see a list of all the VMs within that vCenter, and I can choose which VMs I want to assign to which of our users. And it's easy as just clicking Submit. Once we've assigned it to a user, if we log in and have a look from the user's view, so this is the user's dashboard, they can see that we've got that one virtual server we've just imported. They see some details of that virtual server there. And if they click on the virtual server, they see all the extended properties, they see the estimated price, they can open a console and do all the usual virtual machine tasks, such as powering off, powering on, making changes to hardware. And we can see every task we start in OnApp is initiated in vCenter as well. And then also, you have the ability to allow your customers to deploy new VMs. So we're logged in as a customer here again. We're going to go to Build, Add Virtual Server. We can select from templates that we've provided. These are outside of vCenter within the OnApp catalog. We get an update on the price of what this template would cost. And then we can choose what we want to call it, what label we want to give it, what host name we want the VM to have. And then we can put our own password in or leave OnApp to generate that for us. Again, we've got prices updated there. And at this point, the customer will get choices based on what you've defined in their billing plan. So what data stores you want them to have access to, what network interfaces, and what networks you want them to be able to connect to. And again, the price is updated if anything's changed. So we click Next. We have an option whether we want to build it and boot it immediately after it's been built, a quick summary, and then create virtual server. This will then kick off the relevant VMware tasks, and we can see that activity log within the user's interface. And then if we wait for that to kick off and have a look at what's going on in vCenter, we can see it cloning our template virtual machine, and then it's going to build that machine, power it on, and then do the usual guest customization. We'll see here that soon it will finish, and it will automatically start up that virtual server. And once that server is powered on, we can access the console and do all the usual virtual machine tasks that we want to. And we can see there the new VM is built within vCenter. And see all the additional properties there. So as well as introducing OnApp for vCenter, we've also added some new things to our vCloud Director integration. So we've seen numerous cases where our customers are managing multiple VCD instances, and this is usually due to the regional limitations of VCD. So we have multiple data centers and different VCD instances running in each one. So we have made managing multiple vClouds much easier to configure and seamless for your customers. Aside from this, we've also provided some additional features to help speed up deployment and providing more control for your customers within your defined limits. This in turn has improved your control over the billing. So I'll go into multiple vCloud mode in more detail. Whilst OnApp was always able to manage multiple vCloud instances before, you would need to provide users with multiple user IDs to log into each different environment. So we have introduced multiple vCloud mode, which is really easy to set up and requires no configuration within the vCloud. So your users won't even realize they're managing multiple resources across multiple VCD instances as they get a seamless experience in the OnApp portal. So if we have a look at what this looks like in the OnApp UI now, you'll see we've got the organization object added on the left there. So before we directly mapped our OnApp user groups to organizations, but now you can have multiple organizations within a single user group. So when a new user is created within OnApp, that user is automatically created within vCloud for each organization that is associated with that user group. And we can see from this page, this is the organization view. You've got a list of organizations within your cloud. You can see which compute resource, which VCD instance they belong to, and which user group they've been assigned to. This is the customer view. So they're deploying a new VApp here, and to them, they don't know which VCD instance they're deploying to, but they've got a clear, friendly name there. So whether that's location or something like that, for which resource pool they want to deploy to. And here we've got the VApp view. So these are the VApps that the customer's built, and they can see exactly which resource pool they belong to. It's all within the same UI. So buckets. Tatiana's already introduced buckets, but there are some additional benefits to VMware customers that buckets bring. So as we mentioned before, buckets simplifies the billing and statistics collection. We now have the option to completely disable billing. So if you don't have a requirement for pricing, you can hide any of that information from OnApp if desired. Previously, we had company billing plans, which was mainly used for VCD resource pool billing. And you also had user billing plans as well. So this was quite confusing to our users. We've now merged this into a single bucket. So you can decide if you're going to bill at a resource pool level or at the user level, or even a mixture of both. So we have also separated out access control and rate cards just to make it easier to tailor to your requirements. So I'll have a look at a couple of use cases for buckets. One of the main ones is being able to limit orchestration models by the bucket. So first, for a brief description of orchestration models, similar to VDC templates in vCloud, orchestration models are created within OnApp and provide a lot more flexibility and customization. You are now able to limit what orchestration models a user can deploy. So a good example of uses for this would be if you wanted to restrict which PVDCs your technicians or even customers can create org VDCs on. So this can be used for complete separation of physical compute between customers if required, or even just to provide your customers with the ability to select and customize their own resource pools based on your defined limits. So here we're just having a look at the orchestration model wizard. You can see there's lots of options here. You can give the orchestration model a label. You can define exactly which compute resource you want them to deploy that template to, which PVDC. You select which model type, so whether it's allocation, pay-as-you-go, or reservation. And then here we've got individual limits set for each compute resource, so CPU allocation, memory, things like that. You can see at the top there, we've allowed our customers to customize their CPU allocation and their memory allocation, but only within minimum and maximum limits. For example, here we've completely hidden our CPU resource guaranteed, our memory resources guaranteed, because we want to set this, we don't want our customers to see we're only reserving 50% of the resources. And if we go down further in the wizard, you can see here, you can also define exactly what network pool, what edge gateway you want to create, what networks you want to create, and what data stores you want to create as well. And with the data stores, you can let your customers decide what size they want within the limits you defined. So once we've created the orchestration model, we then add in the orchestration model to the customer's bucket. So you might want to add in all of the models you've created or only a select few. And then looking at the customer view there at the bottom, you can see they've got the orchestration model list there, and they can choose which ones they want to deploy. And then looking at the deployment wizard, they see exactly what we defined in the orchestration model. So in this case here, they can only adjust the CPU resources and the memory resources within the limits we defined. So as well as orchestration models and buckets, we've also added some other things to VCD. So now we're able to change the start and stop order of VMs within a VApp. So this is the option here in the settings menu. And this is the configuration for that. So being able to change the startup order, what startup action and stop action and things like that. We've also added in the ability to change the NIC type. So this is available now in the VM properties. So just to summarize what we've gone through, what problems are we solving with version 6 of VMware? So vCenter provides you with a self-service portal, so you can give your customers more control without compromising on the security. You can also use OnApp's extensive billing functionality with your vCenter workloads. OnApp for vCloud brings some important improvements to help you improve management of your multiple VCD instances and provide a seamless view for your customers. We have also added features to help improve automation and management of these resources. If you need any further details on any of these topics, please feel free to get in touch. And now I'll hand back over to Anatoly.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anatoly Pilipchuk. I'm Director of the Product Management in OnApp. I want to introduce you our implementation of software-defined networks, in which we cover vXLAN technology usage and develop the possibility to create and manage vXLAN tunnels between different compute resources. Software-defined networking is an umbrella term encompassing several kinds of network technologies aimed at making the network as agile and flexible as the virtualized servers and storage infrastructures in the modern data center. So what are the most common challenges for the providers in the terms of networking? Providers would like to reduce time they spend on the end user networking configuration and definitely want to enable clients to manage their own private network safely and securely. So in order to help, we build UI manageable SDN in OnApp, which allows you to join various locations with the L2 network using vXLAN, and you can partially delegate networking configuration to your end users. Let's look at the SDN design in the OnApp. We are currently using OpenDaylight as the SDN controller, and we are using Open vSwitch on the compute resource level. Control panel is communicated with the controller via its API, and controller managing the Open vSwitches on the compute resource level. Each SDN, software-defined networking, each VNI, uses own Open vSwitch bridge, and virtual server network interface is plugged to the proper Open vSwitch bridge. So we have created the ability to join various locations with the L2 network via the IP network. You can also use the same outgoing IP on the compute resource to build as many as L2 networks as you actually need. And we are planning to develop the ability to dedicate, to assign the SDN network directly to one particular end user. The full demo of this functionality has been recorded, and you will be able to see the link to it later. Right now, I just want to show a few highlights. So on the slide, you can see adding SDN Manager. So we are planning to develop the automated controller deployment, but for now you should install Manager as it has been described in our documentation manually, and then add it to OnApp. So on the slide you can see that you need to specify a label, specify the host port, and the credentials. After adding the controller, you need to add nodes to controller. So by that node, I mean the compute resource. So on the next slide, you see the compute resources that you can add to the controller. So we have created an opportunity to customize the connection options via the control panel. And as soon as you click the plus button, the separated transaction will be scheduled in order to add each node to the control. On the next slide, you will see the adding SDN network, where you are specifying actually the VNI, virtual network identifier, and choose on which nodes this network should live. You're also specifying the outgoing IP for each node to act as the source and destination IP for the vXLAN tunnels. So you see it's really, really flexible. After you add the network, the corresponding bridges will be created on each node, and proper tunnels will be set and bring up. After that, you just have to add IP to the networks like you are doing this for the regular OnApp network. And after that, you can use this SDN network to create virtual servers on. So as a quick summary, I just want to mention that SDN is an easy thing to give your clients their private network management, which is probably a good option and a challenge for many MSP and service providers. You can watch more detailed demo inside the catalog, address of which you see on the slide. Let us move to the next feature. and I would like to focus on the OnApp and backups. I want to introduce you OnApp backend plugin system in general and Veeam plugin particularly. By the end of this presentation, you will know what is OnApp backup plugin system and how to configure OnApp with Veeam backup and replication. The backup plugin system enables you to integrate OnApp with a third-party backup services. The plugin allows you to backup and restore your virtual servers by means of a service that you use for the backup management. OnApp provides the plugins for the R1Soft and Veeam that you can install to your control panel. We are inviting other vendors to create their own plugins. You can also actually create your own plugin to integrate OnApp with the backup service of your choice. Public documentation on how to do it is available on our official website. Let's take a more closer look on how to configure OnApp and Veeam. On the Veeam backup and replication side, you need to do three things in order to complete your configuration. You need to add the cloud director of vCenter server to Veeam backup and replication. Then you have to add backup repository. And then you have to add the backup job based on the vSphere, which will be used as the template for all the backup jobs that will be passed through from the owner. So let's switch to the OnApp configuration. And in the OnApp, you need to add the backup resources based on the Veeam plugin. You are specifying here the host, the credentials, and choosing the proper plugin. You should also assign backup resource zone to which you assign this backup resource to proper compute zone. Every backup resource has the advanced options, which should be filled in accordance with the plugin type. Different plugins has different advanced options. For Veeam particularly, you should set the values that you have added on the Veeam side. So you are adding the vSphere template, and you are adding the backup repository, which you have configured inside the Veeam. After that, you have to set the auto backup presets for the backup resource, which will be applied to each virtual server to which this backup resource will be assigned. And finally, assign backup resource zone to the proper bucket. So, and actually we have finished the configuration, and now it's ready to use. So you should go to the cloud director of vCenter virtual server, select overview, select backup resource. On the screen that you will see, there is a possibility to add the backup resource to the virtual server. Right after the backup resource has been added, the auto backups will start to run accordingly to the presets which have been set for the backup resources. Also, there is backup now functionality available for the cases when you need immediate backup. As a short summary, I want to say that now it's much more easy to use your preferable backup solutions, so you are no longer blocked and you are not forced to use something that we only propose. You can actually easily integrate OnApp with any backup solution you prefer, you use, you like, and with the help of the OnApp backend plugin system. There is also a detailed demo about Veeam configuration and OnApp, and you can actually see it in the same catalog, address of which you can see on the screen. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, just drop us a line about these new features. And I'm passing back to James, who'll continue to talk about the migrations to the KVM.
Thanks, Anatoly. So we hear from many customers who are looking for a way to reduce their VMware licensing costs and sort of provide more choice to their customers. So we're pleased to announce that we have introduced an easy route to migrate VMs from your VMware vCenter and or VMware vCloud environments to OnApp KVM hypervisors. If you are currently only using the OnApp Cloud platform to manage VMware resources, you'll be pleased to know that adding an additional OnApp KVM resource is pretty straightforward, and this is something that we can demo to you if required. You can then easily migrate VMs from vCenter or vCloud to the OnApp KVM resources, reducing your VMware reliance and decreasing licensing costs. So I'll just show you a quick couple of screenshots. So we're looking at the properties of a vCenter VM here. It would be the same for a vCloud VM. And then you go to the tools option and you can see a migration to KVM option. Once we click on that option, we first get a choice of what compute resource we wish to deploy to. So as long as we've got OnApp KVM resources, we'll see this option. And then we can choose to either change the label of the VM name or even change the host name or leave them as the defaults as left here. And then next, we decide which data store we want to store the disks on. So we'll have a list of available data stores here. And then next, we get to choose which network we wish to connect the VM to. So any networks assigned to our KVM resource will be available here. And then finally, we have two options here. So whether we want to start the VM after migration, and also if we want to remove the source virtual server after a successful migration. Easy as that. So what problems have we solved? So this gives you the ability to reduce your VMware licensing costs and provide more choice. So as I said before, if you've not seen OnApp Cloud with KVM in action, if you are a purely VMware user at the moment, then feel free to get in touch and we're happy to organize a demo. And I'll now hand back over to Tim.
Great, thanks very much, James. So as promised, we're going to be moving on to your questions very shortly. But we just wanted to cover another topic very quickly, and it's more of a commercial topic. And we talked to a lot of our customers about selling cloud, and what sometimes comes out of those conversations is that the margin isn't always quite what they would expect it to be. Going out to market with a set of standard repeatable products. We often have conversations about other services that can be built around those products. So a lot of the cloud products that are sold today are commodity, and some have higher value. But on their own, product margin is actually a limited opportunity. With products, we give you a toolbox so that you can build your own bespoke solutions, but we also make it easy for you to create repeatable and automated combinations of those components. Just like prefabricated houses, these make it quick and easy for you to deploy repeatable solutions. But quick and easy doesn't always mean high margin. Some industries and specific customers can't always take a pre-built product. They actually need solutions that provide greater value to their business by solving more or even very specific problems by utilizing the cloud you've built. This usually means specialists, and actually that's where the margin opportunity starts to get interesting. Now you've got actually quite an exciting problem to solve. And that is, what are the actual problems you would like to solve for your customers? In what industries, and have you got a proven track record that you can lean on? The first approach is verticalization. So different industries and specific businesses have different types of problems. These problems have got a different financial value. The services revenue opportunity for you lies within the business cost delta between pre and post solution. So that's the value that you're providing by solving a problem for that customer. This approach can often uncover a hidden pipeline of future opportunities that perhaps even the customer didn't even know you could help with. Once you've built up credibility in one or two of those selected verticals, then momentum should actually deliver more of those opportunities to you. There is another approach, and that's by building practices that focus on specific technology stacks and can address problems that exist across those verticals. They often lack the breadth of a verticalized approach, but can be lucrative in isolation, especially if you've got a track record of success in that area. For example, user portals and interfaces, or even internet security. A lot of technology problems actually start as a business problem, so sometimes it's worth taking it up a layer to stand the best chance of extracting maximum value. A holistic approach, looking at the business goal, say, for example, improving customer service or sales performance, could open up a range of practice-based projects over a multi-year program covering different technology areas and creating more opportunities to move systems and processes to your cloud services. So Aside from providing an easy-to-use, scalable, profitable cloud management platform, OnApp can help you make many of these professional services run as efficiently as possible. You've heard some of OnApp's automation and orchestration capabilities today, but we love building new capabilities into our products. And we could really help you make your practices run like a well-oiled machine. We'll be sending surveys over the coming weeks. And as we move towards our next Edge releases, please do share your feedback on what you would like to be made easier and indeed more valuable for your business. As I've said in previous webinars, most of our roadmap is actually built on top of the feedback that we get from our customers and our community of partners. So please do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. So as promised, we'd like to just move on to answering some of your questions that have come in today. So we'll just start going through that list now. Okay, great. So we've got some questions that have come in. We're just collating right now. So first one, do you support VCD version 9.5? And Anatoly, I'd like to hand that over to you to provide an answer, please.
Yes, so we have already installed vCloud Director 9.5 in our test lab, and actually I expect to have it in production by the end of this year. So we are planning to have it, and just follow the news at our website to know when it actually happens.
Right. Thanks, Anatoly. Okay, next question. I've been running Edge releases up to version 5.10. Why are there no new features in version 6? Jim, over to you.
Hi. So 6.0 is long-term supported release. So really, this is just the stabilization of all the features we've released from 5.1 through 5.10. We released 5.5 in the middle, but this is just, you know, a consolidation of all the features into a new long-term supported release. So once 6.1 comes out, this is when you'll start seeing lots of new features again.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Next question. How will the upgrade process transition from billing plans to buckets? And Tatiana, we can maybe ask you to answer that question, please.
And the upgrade script will automatically convert the billing plans into buckets. If you have any limits in the billing plans, then the maximum and minimum values will be migrated to the access control. If you have any prices, those prices will be set in the rate card. If you have different server types, the resources from billing plans will be moved to appropriate tabs. If you had unlimited billing plans, that behavior will be replicated in the buckets. So all the infrastructure will be added appropriately into the access control.
Great. Thanks, Tatiana. That's fantastic. So another question, migrations. Will this option allow any VMware VMs or only OnApp VMs to be migrated? James, I think that's one for you.
Yeah, so the VMs have to be managed within OnApp to be able to do the migration to KVM. So we can manage any VCD or vCenter VM, but they have to be imported to OnApp to initiate the migration. If you wanted to migrate things outside of OnApp, then this would be more of a manual process and something we can help with if you get in touch.
Great, thanks, James. Okay, next question. I've got my own bespoke software for billing lines and calls. Can I get OnApp to work with my existing system? So, Tatiana, that sounds like one that maybe you should answer.
Yeah, sure. We've actually covered some of this in a blog post by Zach, one of our system engineers. The answer is yes. You have a few options. A flat CSV file that can be produced and imported to your system for mediation, but you can also query our API directly. You can use identifiers for cloud resources to allow you to differentiate between customers or partners.
Great, thanks for that. Next question. Does OnApp 6 have new hardware requirements? Jim?
So depending on the version you're upgrading from 5.5 to 6.0, not really. From 5.0, there's probably been some very small hardware requirements on the control panel side. From a hypervisor perspective, it's always been as big or as little as you want, really. But since 5.0, we've added some additional software on the control panel and some of the other features, such as what will be explained in the webinar tomorrow, put a bit more load on the control panel. So some very small requirements, but nothing huge. If it's, feel free to get in touch with us and we can do health checks or stuff like that in your environment to see if that could be, if there's an issue or anything like that. But, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Jim. Okay, another question. I need to create a cloud in a different country, but I don't have a data center there. Is there anything you can do to help? Okay, so actually I'll pick this one up. It gives me an opportunity to shamelessly plug another event that we're doing. So on Thursday, we're going to be covering actually part of this topic in another webinar to do with how you can actually run a managed cloud service in other hyperscale infrastructure than your own. But we do have another option as well, and that's using our federation service. So if you've got any additional queries on that, I would recommend just reaching out to your account manager, and indeed we'll follow up with you directly after the webinar on this specific question. Okay, so we've got another one. Client users wizard should also create their own private networks so that we don't have to do it manually. Okay, sorry, I probably read that out in slightly the wrong order, but the client users wizards should allow people to create their own private networks so that we don't have to do it manually. Anatoly, that sounds like a question maybe for you following your presentation.
Yes, sure. It's actually a very good use case, and as OnApp is the roles-based exit control system, all actually depend on the permission. If end user has been granted with the proper permissions to create SDN, yeah, definitely this user will be able to create it on his own. So no worries here.
That's great. Thanks, Anatoly. We've actually had quite a few questions around the subject of integration with WHMCS, and rather than go through them all individually, they all tend to focus around an update to the integration plugins. I guess basically, when will that happen? So Tatiana, have you got any updates on that for us?
Yeah, regarding the integration with WHMCS, the user and VCD modules are absolutely updated to version 6.0, so they've got all the new functionality supported. The other modules keep backward compatibility, and the new models are currently in the active development phase, so they are coming soon.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Another question, will the VXLAN SDN Manager be included in 6.0, or is it up to us? So Anatoly, again, probably one for you.
So as I mentioned during my presentation, so we are currently using OpenDaylight as the SDN Manager, and but we are still planning to do the automated deployment of the SDN Manager. So for now, you just need to use the proper documentation, install OpenDaylight on the virtual server or on real server somewhere, and then just add it to OnApp with a proper wizard. But all the proper code on the configuration, everything you need to start using VXLAN together with OnApp definitely is available in version 6.
Great. Okay. Thanks for that. And we have a couple more questions that I think are slightly related. We have a question about OnApp integration with AWS, and is that something we plan to improve on? and also a question about supporting other public clouds. AWS again is mentioned in that list as well. I'll pick up that question again because it allows me to talk about our webinar on Thursday. This is actually an interesting topic. We will be talking about how we help our customers make use of hyperscale clouds when we have a webinar on Thursday. So if you're interested, it'd be great if you could join us then. I don't want to give away too much now, but we will actually be releasing the webinar after the session, so you can catch up if you're unable to make it. So I think that's pretty much all of the questions covered, or at least the ones that we can answer on the call, which aren't confidential or commercially related. We'll pick those other ones up at a later date very soon directly with all of you. But that just leaves me to close down the webinar. And thank you for joining us today. Have a look out for the survey that I mentioned. That should be coming in the coming weeks, actually. But much sooner than that, we'll be sending out the replay link so you can share that with your colleagues. You'll also find a lot more information at the URLs that you can see on screen at the moment. If you visit onapp.com/v6, you'll be able to see our release notes, documentation, and all the upgrade instructions, and more detailed demo videos on our Vimeo channel as well. And don't forget, as I've already mentioned, we are running 2 further webinars this week, talking about Accelerator, which is our instant CDN for your cloud. And on Thursday, we're covering a new service called On Demand, which is our managed cloud platform. If you haven't registered for those already, as I say, you'll find the links on this page. So please do join us. So once again, thank you all for joining us. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope to speak to you all again very soon. Thank you.